Have you ever noticed how your brain seems to be a magnet for negative thoughts? It's like having a radio permanently tuned to the worst possible frequency. But what if I told you there's a way to completely rewire this system? What if you could actually stop thinking about bad things forever? Friends, write in the comments where you're watching us from, and hit like if you want to know the most unexpected part. Let me tell you about Sarah, a marketing manager from Chicago. Every morning she'd wake up and immediately her mind would flood with worries. The presentation that might go wrong. The client who seemed unhappy yesterday. Sound familiar? Well, Sarah discovered something that changed her life completely. But first, let's understand why our brains are wired for negativity. Millions of years ago, our ancestors who worried about dangers survived longer. Those who were optimistic? Well, they often became someone's dinner. This negativity bias helped humans survive, but now it's making us miserable. Your brain produces approximately 70,000 thoughts per day. And guess what? Research shows that 80% of these thoughts are negative or neutral. That means only 20% of your daily thoughts are actually positive. But here's where it gets really crazy, and this will blow your mind. Scientists discovered that we can literally change our brain structure through thoughts. It's called neuroplasticity, and it's your secret weapon against negative thinking. Remember Sarah? She started with a simple technique called thought interruption. Every time a negative thought appeared, she'd literally say, "Stop," out loud. Sounds too simple? That's exactly what she thought at first. But after just 1 week, something incredible started happening to her brain. The negative thought patterns began losing their grip on her mind. Now, here's the part that most people get completely wrong about positive thinking. It's not about pretending everything is sunshine and rainbows all the time. That's called toxic positivity, and it actually makes things worse. Real change happens when you acknowledge negative thoughts, but don't let them control you. Think of negative thoughts like clouds in the sky of your mind. You don't try to stop clouds from forming, you just watch them pass. Sarah learned to become an observer of her thoughts rather than a victim. She discovered the 5-4-3-2-1 technique that completely transformed her mental state. When negativity struck, she'd identify 5 things she could see around her, then 4 things she could touch, 3 things she could hear, 2 things she could smell, and 1 thing she could taste. This simple practice pulled her mind back to the present moment instantly. Because here's a scientific fact that will change how you see worry forever. Anxiety only exists when your mind is either in the past or future. It's literally impossible to feel anxious when you're fully present right now. But Sarah didn't stop there. She added what she calls gratitude hijacking. Every negative thought became a trigger to find 3 things she felt grateful for. Her brain began associating negative triggers with positive emotions automatically. Within a month, her entire mental landscape had completely transformed. She went from having panic attacks twice a week to feeling genuinely peaceful. But the most powerful technique she discovered was something called future self-visualization. Every morning, she'd spend 5 minutes visualizing herself as someone who doesn't worry. She'd imagine how this future version would handle today's challenges with ease. Your brain can't tell the difference between a vividly imagined experience and reality. So by repeatedly visualizing positive outcomes, you're literally programming new neural pathways. The results? Sarah's colleagues started asking what had changed about her. She was calmer, more creative, and started getting promoted faster than ever before. Her relationships improved because she stopped projecting anxiety onto everyone around her. But here's the most surprising discovery she made about negative thinking. Most of our worries are actually the same worries recycled over and over. Studies show we worry about the same 5 to 7 core fears throughout our entire lives. Once Sarah identified her personal worry patterns, she could interrupt them immediately. She created what she called her worry inventory, a list of her repetitive fears. Every time one appeared, she'd think, "Oh, it's worry number 3 again, how boring." This simple reframe completely stripped the emotional power away from her negative thoughts. Now let me share the most counterintuitive technique that changed everything for her. Instead of fighting negative thoughts, Sarah learned to welcome them like old acquaintances. "Oh, hello, self-doubt. Thanks for trying to protect me, but I've got this handled." When you stop resisting negative thoughts, they lose their grip on your attention completely. It's like trying to have an argument with someone who keeps agreeing with you. The argument just fizzles out because there's no resistance to push against. Sarah also discovered the power of cognitive reframing, changing the story about situations. Instead of, "This presentation could go terribly wrong," she'd think, "This is an opportunity to share my ideas." Same situation, completely different emotional experience just by changing the frame. But the technique that created the biggest breakthrough was something she called worry scheduling. She designated 15 minutes every evening as her official worry time. During the day, when worries appeared, she'd say, "I'll deal with you at 7 p.m." This gave her mind permission to postpone anxiety instead of suppressing it completely. The amazing thing, by 7 p.m., most of those worries seemed completely irrelevant. The ones that were still valid became action items for problem-solving instead of endless rumination. Within 3 months, Sarah's worry sessions went from 15 minutes to just 5 minutes. Eventually, she often had nothing to worry about during her scheduled worry time. Her brain had literally learned that most worries weren't worth the mental energy. The final piece of Sarah's transformation was building what she called her mental immune system. Just like your body builds immunity to diseases, your mind can build immunity to negativity. She started each day by inoculating herself with small doses of positive visualization. 5 minutes of imagining herself handling challenges with grace and confidence. This mental rehearsal prepared her subconscious to respond positively to whatever came up. Now, 6 months later, Sarah's life looks completely different from the inside out. She sleeps better, has more energy, and feels genuinely excited about her future. But the most profound change is that she now trusts herself to handle whatever life brings. That constant background anxiety that used to drain her energy? It's simply gone. She still experiences negative emotions sometimes, but they pass through her like weather patterns. The difference is, she no longer identifies with her thoughts. She observes them. You see, the real secret isn't about stopping negative thoughts from appearing. It's about changing your relationship with them so they can't hijack your emotional state. Your thoughts are like suggestions, not commands that you have to obey automatically. Once you realize you have the power to choose which thoughts deserve your attention, everything changes because you're no longer at the mercy of your mind's random productions. The techniques Sarah used are based on decades of neuroscience research and proven results. Thousands of people have used these same methods to completely transform their mental landscape. The question isn't whether these techniques work. The question is, will you use them? Your brain is waiting for you to give it new instructions about how to process reality. Every moment you choose to practice these techniques, you're literally rewiring your neural networks for positivity. Imagine waking up tomorrow without that familiar weight of worry pressing on your chest. Picture yourself moving through your day with confidence, curiosity, and genuine peace of mind. This isn't fantasy. This is your available reality if you're willing to put in the work. Start today with just one technique. The next negative thought that appears, simply say, "Thanks for trying to help, but I've got this handled." Watch how this simple acknowledgement without resistance changes your entire experience of that thought. Your mind has been running the same negative programs for years. It's time for an upgrade.